Welcome to Clip Studio Paint 101. This is a piece that I did a while ago to show off layer modes and how it can affect lighting in your piece. It's a great way to show shade and light very quickly, very easily, and without hand painting every single pixel. It will save you so much time. As you can see, I started shading this really old work in progress with just like flat colors, and they look fine. And I can definitely see where I'm putting all of my work. That's great, but I can change this from normal. Vivid light. Oh my. Soft light. Who's one of these? Screen. There we go. We'll do screen for now. I can change it to screen and lower the opacity just a touch. And with the darkened one, the shadows can go. Darker color. And pull that opacity down a little bit. And it looks like I spent a really long time mixing colors when I didn't. I just put down 2 colors, and you can see I shaded this whole figure. And it's a good way to make sure your entire piece has the same color style and theory. So if I put this back to normal and put this back to normal, I can just pick up this color again. As soon as I find the bar, flats background, just gonna make a new layer here and clip this layer, and then we're gonna take that pink color from before. There's like a neon sign outside the bar. Just gonna do the same shit. And then if we set both of the layers to the same opacity and the same blend mode, your piece will be united in its color theory and light. And you have to do so much less work. And it won't take you 7 years to complete one piece. That's not the frame. Pretend that I actually know what I'm doing. Let's say that I painted this all in, which is what I was trying to do earlier, but I ran out of time because, you know, good at stuff. And we're just gonna go overlay. We're gonna dip this down to 62%, 63%, sure, that. We're gonna go back up here. And go overlay. 63%. See, it looks like I hand mixed all of these colors, but I didn't. And I could pick up this blue. We're gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna set this to darken. I'm gonna go a little darker with this, like 80, 79, sure. 79 is fine. And one of the bonuses is you can see exactly where you're putting your paint. So, like, long before you get into trouble with what layer is this stray pixel on, you will see the stray pixel and erase it before you get to that point. There are more efficient ways to color than what I'm doing, but you know, we're just trying to get through this. The chair would cast a shadow here. Something like this. And this is also like completely non-destructive doing it this way. So you're not fucking up your, if you did a value study or anything, if you need to take this back to, you know, brass tacks or whatever, for any reason, it's completely non-destructive. So it doesn't matter how much you mess up, because you can always fix it. If we set this to darken, go back to 79, and see. It looks like I did all of this by hand again, but I didn't, because that would be annoying. And you can definitely like work while it's still in the blend modes. Doesn't matter, it's just, it's easier to see what you're doing before you slap the blend modes on most of the time. That is a very quick way to shade and highlight your piece. It works really well, especially if you have a like cell shaded style piece. I got a few of those. Hang on. Maybe I do. What happened to my painting of Jean? Well, fine then. I don't have another one ready. Seriously, what the fuck? Oh. No, that's a PNG. I'm the best teacher ever. Here we go. Here we go. So. There we go. This one has blend modes on it. So this one's set to screen. Do I have the thing up? I don't have the thing up. Hang on. Excuse you. Go over here, please. Oh, that's the wrong one. That's the wrong one. Super professional. but you can see it says highlights and then screen at 64%, because that's the layer mode that it's in, is screen. Close enough for government work. Let's go. So that's these bright highlights here. If I take screen off, you can see they're just like lime fucking green. Put screen back on, it blends more in. And then, yeah, I could have mixed all of these by hand. I've done that. I've done that a lot before. Like, here's the shadows. They're on hard light. They are actually, like, purple. Yeah, it's like a quick and dirty way to do it, but, like... It's so fast and it looks good every time. So if you're doing cell shading, highly recommend. If you're doing like adjustment layers, highly recommend. We're gonna go after what each one does in a second. Thanks mostly to Ghost, so I don't have a mod in chat. I have to do it myself.
My friend.
Is that double? Sorry. Alright, so Ghost wrote me an entire fucking script because Ghost is rad as fuck. We're gonna figure out how to pull this to the front without. There we go. Clip Studio, and then there. Alright, so your regular layer mode is just called normal. It says right up here, normal. 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 It's just your basic layer mode. It does what it says on the tin. Ghost wrote most of the script. I wrote like 4 things. I didn't do anything, I just did all of Elle's work for him. So these are also called layer styles or blending modes. It depends on the program. I think Clip Studio calls them layer styles, and I think Photoshop calls them blending modes. I'm not positive on that, but close. So Ghost was very smart and wrote some like basic ass art terms. So hue is a color's base trait on the color wheel. Colors of different lightness, darkness, and saturations can still come from the same hue. And what they mean by that is if you look down here, can you see that in the strands? I think you can. Yeah, see the bottom left? The bottom left, this color wheel is the hue, this outside part. So whatever color I pick here, that's the hue. And then if I go to the left, it desaturates it. If I go to the right, it saturates it. So this is the purest version of this color right up here in the corner where it's the most saturated and the most light. Going up and down, this is the lightest version and this is the darkest. And that varies as you go across the saturations too, until you're at pure white and pure black and pure gray. So that's how hue and saturation works. Where'd my script go? Value is how light or dark a color appears when converted to grayscale. This is a little different than saturation. And brightness is how close to black or white a color is regardless of hue or saturation. So that's like the left-right thing. Value is different than hue and saturation, but hue, brightness, and saturation all help describe value in ways that is very difficult to explain. But if you're looking at this piece right here, and I'm just gonna tap the saturation black on. Maybe it's the white one. Oh, maybe I just suck. You can see that the values, you can see the pure values are there. So it's hard to see. It's hard to see. But that's not what I wanted. Whatever I did, I'll do that. Just choose green. So you can see that this color is slightly lighter than this color. But if I turn this up, you can see it better. So my values were a little off. And right now his skin tone is darker. Oops. His skin tone is darker than the light is supposed to be, so that's also fucked up, so I would have to fix that. But you can see, like, here's the shadow in his hair. His shadows are darker than his hair color. His shadows on his face are obviously darker than his skin tone. His eyes get real spooky in the dark. Oh, by the way, this is Nero. He's one of my OCs. I love him a lot. And like you can see like the true value of it, and you can do this with a pure black layer or a pure white layer. If you use the white, you can still see some of the colors, which I find less useful, but that's what Ghost does. I use black. And I forgot about this until Ghost reminded me today, because Ghost is smart. But yeah, you can see like you can see the little bit of pink in it. But I wouldn't have been able to tell this is darker than this if I didn't use the black layer, because the way my brain works, the way I see things. So I use this one, and so the like if you're doing values, this is very, very important. Yeah, it's darker on his skin too. It should not be. But values are like how dark or light a color is next to another color. So sometimes, like, if looking at this, the pink looks lighter than his tan skin, but it's not actually. It's almost the same and it's slightly darker. So I need to fix that. Yeah, I need to fix a lot of stuff in this piece, let's be honest. So that is basics, and why the saturation blend mode is super useful. No, you don't want them to be the same. So I want the lights to be lighter, which is why I'm saying, like, I fucked up here. This part is supposed to be light, and this part is supposed to be darker. So I want the values to reflect that. It's correct on his shirt, like the lights are lighter than the base of his shirt, and that's correct. And the darks are darker than the base of his shirt. But yeah, it's also like a personal bad habit of mine that I tend to not do enough contrast when I'm painting. But yeah, that's what the levels is for. This is the thing that I whine at Bill for, is the levels. Levels will fix a myriad of sins. So here's how that works, and it's super useful to check your work like that. Hi, Steve. Welcome in. I haven't seen you around these parts before. Yes, what the levels. We're doing Clip Studio Paint tutorial today, and today we're talking about blend modes / layer styles, depending upon what program you're using. Yeah. So the next one down from normal is darken, and that was the one that I was using right here for his shadows. It darkens stuff. Surprise, surprise. So combines and darkens the colors on the blend layer with the colors of a lighter value on the layer below. So the layer below has to be lighter or this does not work. It'll just make your blend mode, your blend layer vanish. Yeah, welcome in, Steve. If you have any questions about Clip Studio, please let us know. I'm happy to answer any questions you've got. I know you're super new to painting, and I don't know if you do digital at this time, but if you've got generalized art questions, I'll also help you out. So that's what darken does. That's why I picked it for the shadows, because I wanted it to darken the colors. And we're going to move on to multiply. Multiply is pretty popular. This combines and darkens the colors on the chosen layer, on the blend layer, with all colors on the layer below. It's used in cell shading. Oh, cool. I'm glad that hopefully this will be useful to you. Yes. Yes, all of that is super useful. As Ghost wrote, this is often used in cel-shaded illustrations and for drawing areas of shadow. Subtle colors and pastels work best on multiply layers, otherwise the effect may look too intense and saturated. Has a similar effect of double exposing a piece of film. So if we switch darken to multiply, you can see how much darker that got, because I used a super dark blue. I'd crank the opacity up, like, you know what, multiply might look better. If I crank it down, it's a much subtler effect. So if the lighting weren't so intense in this bar, you might want to go with like that, but it is pretty intense. Moving on to color burn, somewhat similar effect to multiply, but not, where multiply will combine together the darkness of the colors of the chosen layer and the layers below. Color burn will only compounds hue and saturation. This can be a very vivid effect, like putting color gels over a light. So we're going to do that with this one. Oop. So that looks crazy, but that is what it does. We can do that in here too. Grab the screen one. There you go. Overlay, color burn. Overlay, color burn. Okay, we're going to do linear burn next. This is somewhat similar to multiply, but with noticeably more intense effect over colors with a darker value. So Boop. So it's very similar in this piece to this, but it looks much brighter on the light colors. You can see how that works on the dark color too. Color burn, linear burn, color burn, linear burn. Subtract. Subtract is weird. Similar to multiply, except the hues the hues of the color applied to the chosen layer will show up as a complement on the layer below. For example, a fully saturated red on the blend layer will appear cyan. Saturation of the chosen color remains the same, but brightness and hue are inverted. So subtract does some wild shit. Like, I legit don't know what you would use subtract for. I've never figured out a thing to use it for. Unless I was just like slapping wild stuff together to make a weird poster. I don't think I've ever used subtract. Ghost, have you ever used subtract? Oh, we forgot lighten. Good on us. Lighten does what darken does, except lightens it. So if I do it on the dark layer, it's probably not going to show up. Yeah, see, everything disappears because all of the colors are lighter on the base, so it just doesn't do anything. So we're gonna put that back to darken, and then go to this one, go to lighten, and you can see it lightens all the colors. If I put a value thing on now, yeah, you can see that the values are now corrected. Like it's actually lighter on his arms and his face. Stuff. So that would be a more useful thing to do on this particular layer. For this particular piece. Screen is the opposite of multiply. And we were looking at screen on this one. So I have the highlights on screen. This inverts the base colors and multiplies the colors of the blending layer. Screen gives a lightening effect, so it's kind of hard to explain. It's doing what multiply does, except making things lighter instead of darker. Color dodge. Reduces contrast and lightens the colors of the layers, upping the midtones and saturating them. So, if you've ever seen a certain YouTuber who has a whole color dodge bit in his videos, that's what color dodge does. What? Boop. So you can do color dodge. I think you can just use white. Yeah. So if you want like a hit of color, you can get like a super soft brush. Bring out brush density way down. There you go. It's really good if like a character's standing out in the sun and you want to like hit those highlights. But just be aware you can overdo color dodge real fast. Yeah, let's make a new layer. Set this to color dodge. But Yeah, you can rapidly overdo this, and then your piece will look like a dodge burn piece of garbage from like 2002. It's useful in small places. Do not go crazy. Glow dodge does what color dodge does, but like more, but like stronger. I'm pretty sure I have a glow dodge on here. Do I? No, I don't. I have add glow. Oh, let's just make a new layer and do it. Glow dodge. Yeah, it just does color dodge plus plus, color dodge but more. Again, good for like bright lights. Like if you're looking directly into the sun with your camera, don't actually do that with your face. If you've got a really bright light above a character or in a scene, you might want to hit glow dodge. So add is a weird one to describe. I used it here. It's on this layer. And it's this little glow on the outside of on the inside of the window frames. So what Clip Studio Paint says it does is increases brightness by adding more color information. So in digital, when you add more color information, things get closer to white. Because it's the opposite of mixing paint, where if you add more color information in paint, you get closer to black. But because this is digital, you're overlapping light values until they become almost white. So doing add too much will just make things completely white. This is... what does this look like normally? Yeah, it's just yellow. Just a soft yellow, and then add, and it's like this soft white color. Well, all of them are highlighted, Steve, so if you want to watch the previous ones, before Ghost helped me and made this like super rad fucking script for me, they're there. But like Ghost super helped out today. What are we on? Add glow. Okay, so add glow is the same as add, but it's softer around the hard edges. So like if I took my G pen, because it's got a hard edge, it's a little softer around the edges than... Oop. See, it's slight change. Oh, by the way, Clip Studio is Friday nights. How to use Clip Studio is Friday nights. Oh, good, we're on overlay. So overlay is super popular because overlay does screen and multiply at once. So if you put your shadows and your highlights in the same layer, you can just use multiply. And it'll do the same thing. So let's say that this purple is my shadow. I'll just make a new layer, please. Okay. This is my shadow now. We're doing shadows. This is all shadow now. Look at this beautiful shadow I super planned out and thought about. And then let's say we want, what's the opposite? It's like here. We're gonna do this. Do this for our lights. do soft light over all of this. I don't fucking care. And then want to do overlay. And see, it made the lights do my brain, please work. It made the lights do screen, and it made the darks do multiply. So this is super handy. I end up tapping overlay a lot when I'm just trying to do some correction layers at the end of a piece. You can like do some nice soft adjustments with overlay, and like unify some of the colors in your piece with it by just doing like a soft vignette and then putting it on overlay. Soft light. So this effect depends on the density of the layer being blended. Bright colors will produce brighter results. So if we go back to whatever the fuck happened there. Yeah, I have a whole video on layers. You're welcome to check it out. On how to like do layers correctly, but like layer hygiene and keeping everything organized. I have a video on that. Yeah, layers are super handy. What are we on? Soft light? All right. Hey, it's bright. So soft light. That's what that looks like. So this effect depends on the color density, like I said. So the brighter the colors are, the brighter the effect is. So you can see over his skin tone, it's very pink, but over the shirt, it's almost white because of the color underneath it. Hard light. This effect also depends on the density of the layer being blended. Brighter colors will react like screen mode by being more saturated, and darker ones will act like multiply mode. So let's do hard light on this one that I did. So you can see the shadow didn't really change, but the lights did because they're acting like a different layer blend mode. So it's acting more like screen mode. Difference. So difference is another one that I don't really see anybody using that often. Like every once in a while you'll see it on Drawfee. But like I don't see a lot of people using difference on purpose. Just like they're going through the list and being like, oh, this one looks fine. Difference mode subtracts the color of the blending layer from the base color, keeping the resulting value as it combines with the original base color. This can give a very strange effect or look like the colors are inverted, so be careful with this one. You can see like over here by the glasses, it's made the counter darker than the under part. Same here. So yeah, it can invert your values and be very strange. Vivid light. The contrast is strengthened or weakened depending on the color of the layer being blended. So if the blend layer is brighter than 50% gray, burn is applied and the image is brightened. So like burn dodge. So if it's darker than 50% gray, dodge is applied and the contrast of the image is strengthened. So this can go very wrong very fast, but at the right time it looks good. So this is what it looks like now. If we softened it, it's a little better, but like, I don't super love vivid light all the time. If we put this on vivid light, I kind of like that because it's a neon sign that's lighting him up from the outside. So I may actually keep this on vivid light when I go to actually finish this piece, but who knows? It's been sitting in the folder for like 2 years now, 3 years, whatever. It's been a while. So, okay, the next one is linear light, where brightness is increased or decreased depending on the color of the blend layer. If the set layer is brighter, if the blend layer is brighter than 50% gray, the image is brightened. If it is darker than 50% gray, the image is darkened. And what they mean by that is if you look over here on the color wheel, if you go all the way to the left, right in the middle here is 50% gray. There's a way to actually find it, but it's like around here. And that's 50% gray. So anything above this line reacts one way, and anything below this line reacts another way. And it doesn't have to be on the gray, it can be anywhere in here. So this is the line that you're thinking about. It's right across the middle here. And above it, it does one thing, and below it, it does another. So if we put this one to linear light, you can see it changed very slightly. But yeah, it's because the green is this green is above the 50% gray mark. It is making it brighter. And because the purple is below the 50% gray mark, it is making the image darker. Okay, and then the next one is me rambling like an idiot. Hang on. So pin light. The next one is pin light. And we're going to do that with this one. There you go. The colors of the image are replaced depending on the color of the blend layer. If the blend layer is bright, the color of the layer below is only replaced with that of the blend layer where the color of the layer below is darker. If the blend layer is dark, the color of the layer below is replaced with the blend layer where the color of the layer below is brighter. So it's whichever color is brighter, that's what it's replacing. Hard mix is hard to describe, but we'll give it our best shot. So if you look over here at these numbers down here, like 30, 64, 17, you go all the way to a color. You can see these numbers changing. 255 is the highest it can be. And that's like max saturation of that color. And you can see when two colors are 255, it's like the perfect blend of those two colors. So green and blue makes this very bright cyan color, which happens to be Zeus's hair color. But what hard mix does is anything below the high RGB value is converted to 0. So all of your colors become very, very strong or completely non-existent. See, it's just converting them to like the brightest version that it can. So yeah, delete. hard mix is a weird one. Again, I think I've only used it for like poster effects back in the day. I don't think I've used it for literally years. We're going to move on to exclusion. Exclusion combines the inverted hue and brightness of colors on the chosen layer to the colors in the layer below. So, boop. It looked less dramatic than I thought it would. So the saturation of the colors on the chosen layer remain the same. Because of this, it's much easier to keep from oversaturating an image, which is usually not my problem. But, you know, if you have problems with your colors being a little too bright, exclusion might be your answer. Okay, so darken color. Similar to darken, except the lighter value color on the layers below the chosen layer are replaced, as if painted over with opaque paint instead of drawn over with transparent marker ink. You can tell that Ghost wrote this because it sounds eloquent and sane. So if we go to darken, we go to darken color, it's just showing the pure blue in places. And it looks a little odd, but that's what it does. It's not, instead of blending the two colors, instead of like doing a wash over the other color, or like a glaze if you're using oil paints, like you would with darken, darken color, it's more like you've just slapped acrylic on there. I love acrylic, don't get me wrong, but it's usually not the thing that I'm going for, so. Divide is the opposite of multiply as far as the light-dark value. Where multiply darkens, divide lightens, saturation and hue are still compounded in the same way as multiply, so let's slap that on here. Actually, let's do it on this dumb layer. Boop. Yeah. So that happens. Yeah, I don't know what you would use that for. But it exists in case you need it. Oh, hue is actually very useful. Hue applies the hue of colors on a chosen layer to the colors below. Let me grab... Do I still have that file, is the question. Oh, I do. Yeah, I know it was made in a previous version of Clip Studio Paint. So this was a gift for a friend. So we're gonna not show their name because I don't think they'd enjoy that. But in this painting, I did a complete undertone painting in green and yellow, and then I painted over it. And if I just wanted to, I could make this, what is this? Yeah, I could just turn this to hue. And it just changes all of the values to the hue red that I painted. So that's what that looks like when like nothing has changed. When this is on normal and you can't see the under thing, but if I put it on hue and then I put the underpainting back on, that's what it looks like. So that's how that works. And then brightness. brightness applies the value. Brightness, like when you're working in grayscale, brightness is like how close to white it is of the colors on the chosen layer to the color below. So if I wanted to, let's turn this into brightness and get rid of these. So if I wanted to keep all of the hues the same, it'd be incredibly boring. You can do shading like this, but it looks bad. I would only do this if I needed to punch up my shadows or my colors like last minute. This would be like a pretty miserable way to work in total because it just would. It doesn't do colors, it just does value. It's not super useful. But yeah, that is all of the layer blend notes. Again, thank you so much, Ghost. Shoutouts to Ghost.
My friend.
Shoutouts to Double Sound for no reason. Thank you so much, Ghost. You really saved my bacon on this one. But yeah, that is today's lesson. If anybody has any questions, please ask me now. Yeah, Ghost streams. Ghost got a PNG tuber. It's a little ghost. It's very cute. I love Ghost PNG tuber. Like, I'm jealous of the little floating ghost, and I have a giant 3D demon. But Ghost wrote most of that script for me. Because I was running behind and I was trying to paint the examples. I just didn't have time because I had to, cook dinner and be human and help other friends. And yeah, I essentially overbooked myself like I do every fucking Friday, but Ghost really, really helped me. But yeah, next week we're gonna do one of my favorite little toys in Clip Studio, and that is the rulers. The rulers make me very happy. My favorite one is perspective ruler, but I also use this symmetry ruler all the time. But yeah, I love the perspective ruler, and I can't wait to show everybody about the perspective ruler. It's so much fun. It helped me do this piece. This was the first piece I used the perspective ruler on, which is why it's in the correct perspective. If I were to show you that, it's all the way down here. It looks crazy, but that's the perspective ruler for this piece. Yeah, that's it for tonight.